The bone of contention and the biggest question among Kenyans is, was Raila preparing to contest for the sixth time in 2027? Remember, in 2022, he was Raila the fifth. Was he planning to be Raila the sixth? Because there is a lot of confusion within the ODM party. That is why the party is divided into two now. There are two groups. We've seen people coming out and they're beginning to reveal what has always remained concealed. You saw what Robert Alai was saying today, and you saw what Raila's lawyer was saying. Was Raila preparing to contest for the sixth time? And Raila's lawyer says, according to the body language, Raila was not planning to contest.
Do you think he would have run in 2027 if he were still alive?
Over time, after the last election, he behaved in a way that suggested he will not run again. In very many ways.
How do you explain that?
Well, there are things you would expect him to do at a particular time and he's not doing them. There are ways you expect him to start speaking, he's not. Even when now we were discussing the documents that I was doing and what we are going to include, there are patterns or things he will say that show you that he's thinking this in a more long-term view and that he's not factoring himself as a candidate.
And that takes us to the second question. If Raila was not preparing to contest, and Raila has a large following behind him, with a lot of pressure, some of whom thought that this was Raila's moment, that Ruto had really failed Kenyans and that this was the time that he would have tried his last shot on it. So what was Raila's game plan? Was he planning to support William Ruto? On that, Raila's lawyer says, Raila got into this handshake, but he also had another window, an exit strategy. It was to use Sifuna and the group that is now labeled rebels to walk out on Ruto.
Because Raila was a complex political character, and all of them represent something he did. Now, the other part that came is that the militant side also acted, and this is one of the problems that has come in current days, that the militant side also used to work for Raila as an exit strategy. Raila will not go into anything without an exit strategy. So even when he began working with President Ruto, he had an exit strategy.
What was the exit strategy?
The exit strategy was the people who were fighting it.
The Sifuna side?
Yes, that was his exit strategy. And if things did not work out, or if we got into a head with the corporation side, he was going to go and turn into his militant side and tell them, come get me.
Now we are going to the third question, ladies and gentlemen, and I want us to work together. So if Raila was not planning to contest, and he was not also planning to support William Ruto, if at all we would take the two narratives, then what was going to be his next move? It only leaves us with this. Raila was planning to either support the opposition or he was grooming someone to take over. And you remember Raila was saying, who told you ODM will not have a candidate? Now, Raila is asking who told you ODM will not have a candidate, and at the same time, those who are around him felt he was not going to contest, neither was he going to support William Ruto. And that takes us to the fourth conclusion, that Raila had someone in mind within the ODM that he wanted to nurture and propel to the highest leadership. And if that is true, who do you think Raila wanted to take over the mantle? Now, there are very many names that could come on board. But when Raila realized he was going for the AU seat, those very people that I've mentioned, Opio and I, Joho, Oparanya, and all that, were given to William Ruto so that they leave alone ODM for those who Raila wanted to take over. Now, who do you think is in your mind that Raila perhaps was planning to elevate, if at all he was not going to contest and he wanted ODM to have a candidate? Now, the answer could be very clear. This is the answer.
Let the people support him. The guy is built for the future. I'm a civil. The guy is built for the future. You know what I mean? Ukiangalia huko mbele, utaona Sifuna. Utaona nani? Sifuna. If you don't know what I'm saying.
The reason why I believe that is the answer. When Raila, after Raila's death, several ODM leaders were saying that ODM is not ready to produce a candidate and that there is no one who can challenge William Ruto come 2027. But this young, brave man, Edwin Sifuna, has always said that he's ready. I remember when they were in the burial of the late Cyrus Jirongo, he was telling people like Mudavadi, if you think you don't want to contest now, support me so that tukifika huko mbele tuangalie. And the way Edwin Sifuna is behaving, Edwin is behaving as someone who has a secret that Raila alimnongonezea kwa masikio. That is why he believes ODM should have a candidate when others feel that no, we cannot challenge William Ruto. The second question is this, ladies and gentlemen. If Sifuna was the one that Raila was grooming, either to be president or a deputy president, who in the position was Raila willing to work with? Because even if Sifuna was going to contest, he could not, contest and get a deputy or a running mate from the ODM side. So who do you think Raila had in mind maybe to combine with Edwin Sifuna? In fact, after the 2022 election, the only person who Raila came close to revealing to Kenyans that he could work with, because we are working with evidence, facts are stubborn, is this person that Raila is telling us here.
Kalonzo ameshinda Bwana Ruto mara 10. Yeye ni mtu mwaminifu. Anataka kutagawanya sisi. Baba na Kalonzo, sijui baba atasimama, sijui nani atasimama. Miongoni wetu hapa mtu atasimama. Sawa. Yeye anafikiri yeye ni mwerevu zaidi. Tutamwonyesha ati yeye hajui. Sawa. Sisi tutasimama kidete na ndugu Kalonzo Musyoka.
That is none other Kalonzo Musyoka. So ladies and gentlemen, I want us to have this discussion here. According to the revelation from Raila's lawyer, Raila was not going to contest, and from the analogy and the chronological events that I'm giving, it is very clear that Sifuna is the man that Raila wanted to take over. And this is the reason why I want that other group that has been compromised to give us a break. They keep on telling us that, Sifuna defied the party. That is not true. And I have got a feeling that Sifuna is only but fulfilling Raila's wish. He's built for the future. And that was Raila speaking through Nyong'o. And this is a clear message to the ODM supporters that Raila's spirit is in Edwin Sifuna. Sifuna has always given us a confession that in 202 walikuwa tu vijana pale wanaimba bado mapambano yote yawezekana bila Moi, and he tells Raila, thank you for identifying me when I was a nobody and I'm now who I am today. Raila was building his party around youthful leadership because he knew very well that he was facing his last days in politics. Even if had Raila not rested, he was still going to take a permanent leave from politics. Perhaps he was going to be just a patron that would be advising them. And like his brother, who went there on a temporary basis. We all know, people have been asking Sifuna, why are you opposing Oburu yet? You are the one who crowned him as the leader of the ODM party after Raila's death. But Sifuna explains that I did that because we thought Oburu was taking this on a temporary basis so that he could organize for a very clear takeover, give the baton, hand over the baton to a youthful leader. Do not crucify Edwin Sifuna, because from all the accounts, from all the look of things, the vector points to the fact that Raila might have wanted to work with Kalonzo and Edwin Sifuna. Either Edwin as a deputy president, because I know Edwin can only play second fiddle to Kalonzo Musyoka. Many a times you saw Edwin Sifuna working with Kalonzo Musyoka, and for sure, I think that was the ticket. And I think it could be the ticket even now, because the kind of crowd that the Linda Mwananchi group is forming is so big that Edwin and the group cannot just form that crowd and then he says that mimi nataka kusimama senator. How? What about the people who believe in him from Nyanza, from Northeastern, from Mount Kenya? What are they going to do? And I believe that the Linda Mwananchi group has now become a third force, because apparently we thought that this was going to be a horse race, just Ruto and the united opposition. Of course, we're still waiting for their presidential candidate. And I sometimes, agree with that group, especially with Gachagua, who says, let us not rush into giving a lineup, because now you can see that if they come up with a lineup, let's say they are, for example, they agreed that maybe it is going to be Kalonzo and Matiang'i, then Edwin Sifuna and the group comes with a big force and they agree, because it is going to be pressure from Wananchi. They will tell Sifuna, we want you to have your own presidential candidate as a group. Then what happens then? Then it will force the two groups, the Linda Mwananchi and the united opposition, to come together. Just like what happened in 2002 when Kibaki, Ngilu, and the late former Vice President Kijana Malwa had their own NAK party, NAK. And on the other side, Raila had the LDP, Raila, Saitoti, Kalonzo, Kamoto, you can name them, Mudia Wori. And pressure from Kenyans told them, please, if you are serious about defeating KANU, then you must unite. And when you look at things, as it was in 2002, so it is in 2027 or now, because those two forces must come together and unite. And so, ladies and gentlemen, when the more things come out, the more these revelations come out, the more I agree with Edwin Sifuna, because Sifuna seems to be out to fulfill Raila's wish. I have also seen that spirit in him, because those who believed in Raila believe in Edwin Sifuna, in Babu, in Orengo, Ososi, in the leaders from Kisii too, who were supporting the ODM party, Kibagendi, Onyonka, and the group. So I could be wrong, but I've got a feeling that Raila had a bigger plan. No wonder they said he's built for the future. The future is now. Would you support Edwin Sifuna for president? Or would you support Edwin Sifuna teaming up with another presidential candidate so that we take Kasongo home? I'm here to humbly submit to you that Raila had a secret plan to make Edwin Sifuna president. If not in 2027, he wanted Sifuna to be a deputy president so that Sifuna would take over after the person who won in 2027. There's another school of thought that believes, had Raila been serious that, they want a deputy president, what now Oburu is asking for, that he wanted to appoint Sifuna to work with William Ruto, could it work? Looking at Sifuna, do you think he was ready to work with William Ruto? Because in his own very words, Sifuna says, and he confesses that you have to abandon part of your brain to work with William Ruto. He said, I cannot reconcile my mind to work with William Ruto. And that leaves out, we can eliminate the idea or the thought that Raila would have given William Ruto Sifuna so that they can work. It only leaves us with two conclusions. Either Raila wanted Sifuna to contest. What would be the advantage of contesting in 2027? That would help Sifuna understand how strong he is with ODM, because maybe Raila wanted to hand over all his support base because Sifuna is brave, anaweza, and maybe he was going to take it, and if he didn't, he would know how much votes did he get, and so that as they approach 2032, he already had established his foot. That is what Uhuru Kenyatta did when Moi appointed him. And if he was not going to contest, to be closer to power so that wakiunda serikali pamoja, jama mwenye wameenda naye maybe kama ni Kalonzo anakula 2 term, then Sifuna. From the account that I've given you, do you support the idea or the theory that I'm giving you that Raila had a clear path for Edwin Sifuna? And that is why you see Sifuna walking around, he's saying Kasongo must go. Raila knew that this man is ambitious. He's a young man who must be nurtured together with people like Babu, because you can see Babu now wants to go for the gubernatorial position. The good thing is, in their hands, ODM is strong. When you say that they need, to walk around some patron, Orengo's there with them, because the Oburu camp is lost. Those are not my words. Today, Robert Alai confirmed it. They are inept, old, they don't even receive calls. I mean, you call and you want to share ideas with them. There are brokers around who will be receiving the calls, and sometimes they don't even reveal, they don't even relay the message to them. I mean, wamechukua ODM kama nyumba yao. Robert said that Raila would wake up very early in the morning and he talks to people. He wanted to know what was happening in the ground. Lakini leo hii, State House is controlling ODM. Ladies and gentlemen, Raila had a mission, a vision, and a purpose for Edwin Sifuna. What do you think? Kindly drop your opinion in the comment section.